Okay, so you've gone to the trouble of deciding and planning out that you need a virtual assistant, and you've gone through doing the interviews and the recruitment process, and you've hired your first VA. Now, how are you going to manage them and keep tabs? Well, if you wanted to, you could just write emails back and forth to each other, contact each other every day on Gmail, on Gtalk, or on Skype, or however you decided to go forward. But the thing is with this is, again, you're going to spend so much of your time chasing and making notes of who's done what. It could start to get a bit messy over time, and then all that happens is you're not actually managing effectively. If you looked at the video where we said about using the calendar option to actually set up and record an interview, then you could use a calendar if you've got simple, straightforward tasks. What you could do is use the calendar to register when a project is starting and then put an end by or due by date. Follow up with an email, or even just include in the calendar the items that they need to do, the details, and go from there. You could do that if it's simple enough. The other option is to actually go over to Google Apps for Business, and Google Apps is about $5 per user per month, and it gives you access then to more applications and also the application marketplace. And for example, there is an application called Do, and it's a free app from the marketplace that is a good project management tool. So then you're paying $5 a month per user. So if you have yourself and then your VA, you're paying $10 a month to use it for a business. There are cheaper alternatives, there are free alternatives, and there are ones that are more expensive, and we're going to look at some of those as we go through. But in essence, what you want to make sure is that ahead of time you're planning as much as you can as to what your VA will be doing in the week ahead, or at least a couple of days ahead, or a very worst case scenario, a day ahead. And the reason for that is if you're not giving them work to do, and you've decided to pay the VA on a basis of an employed position, if you like, weekly, then they're not going to be doing the work, they're not being productive. Whereas if you're paying them per project or per hour, obviously then they're only going to be charging you for the time they physically do. So again, it's also going to come back to how you've decided to structure the pay side of having a VA. If you're paying by the hour, then it won't necessarily matter, but you might get them very frustrated if you're constantly there having to chase you in order to get tasks for them to complete. So have all these things considered up front as to how you're going to use the VA most effectively, and then just make sure you assign time to yourself to plan in order to pass that work over to those people, or to your one VA in the beginning, and let them do those tasks for you. There are some very complicated tools out there. Project HQ has a lot, and they've got a demo at their site. If you look for projecthq.org, you can go to the demo and have a look through and see if it suits, because again, depending on the type of business and how or what tasks you want your VA to do will depend on how complicated you need the software to be. For WordPress, there's something called CollabPress. It's relatively new, and it's available. You install it and it allows people to collaborate on projects from inside of WordPress. You just basically create a user account for them, and you can assign tasks then to the people through the CollabPress plugin, which is free. There's Collabtive. It's not collaborative, it's just Collabtive. This is how it is. If you type it into Google, it's a project management. Again, it's open source, it's free, and it allows you to assign projects. You can see percentage of done, days left if you're setting deadlines, because for example what you'll do is you'll go into your projects, you'll add a new project, and then you'll start the project, give it a description, add in a due date, so we might have it that's due by tomorrow. You can make it never due if you want to. You can assign who the people are that will be getting the task, and then you can add it and it will then show up in the task, and as people do it, it will be checked off. It's quite a simple open source tool, but one that's very effective for simple projects. There's something called Teambox, which, as it says here, get things done. You can have up to 3 projects running for free, but if you're going to be using it on a more regular basis, you'll see they've got different fees, anything from $12 a month for 6 projects up to $99 a month for 100 projects, and then you pay on top of that per user for more users on the account. You can do it that way as well through the enterprise. So at the beginning, you might only want to try it out and only have a few projects, so this one might be suitable and you could give it a go and then scale up as and when you need to. If it's something very simple where you've got your VA to create a central account for Gmail where you'll both be accessing like company relevant information where emails will be sent to, you could use that Gmail account to then use Google Docs. If you just type into Google Docs, And then what you do is you create documents. Like here you see one, we've created a test document. This is a test document. We write the information, and then when we go back and save, it shows. And we can add people to this as well, so we can decide who the or who's going to be assigned to the task. If we click this, you can then choose to share, and you can share it to someone. And we've put here, we've added a person, and we're going to share it with them. We hit done, and it will email out to that person to let them know a document's ready to be checked, so then they can log in to this account, read what's needed, because you send a copy to yourself, so they get a copy as well, and then they read the task in hand. And then your VA fills out, and once they're finished, they sign off at the bottom, email it back to you, and then they know the task is completed. And just quickly, because we sent it to ourselves and we added another email address, so you just add your VA's other Gmail account, they just get an information document saying I've shared this document, and it'd have a title once you've saved it. And when they click it, it opens a document in their browser, and as long as you give them permission to edit, they can then write down that they've done it and send it back to you, so they could go and tick off, if you like, all the tasks that you've sent them for the day. So you could make the document, you could make it a to-do list. So if I open it here, this could just be a to-do list, and as they do it, they check it off, and then they send it back to you. And then another free one, which I personally like the best, is called Clocking It, and it's Clocking It up here, Clocking IT or clockingit.com. And the reason why this is good is because you can create a task, and then inside that task, if I click it here, especially if your VA is working by the hour, you can do like here, look, we set up a blog installation. I want them to install a blog on a certain domain for me, so I could let them know that's the task. I could assign it to our new VA. In earlier videos we had a dummy interview with someone called Joanne, so we've assigned it to Jo. We've added her on the system. She then got sent an email to confirm and join up on the system, and then when Jo logs into her account, so she's logged in here, she can see the recent activity as well, but she can see that the task for her to do, it's got mine, so she can see there's a task been assigned to her, so she can click to have a look at the task. She can't edit the information because we've not given her editing rights, but she can comment once it's done. And the way in which she does it, if it's you're doing time-based, is great, because all she does is there's a little timer here you can see, and it says start working. So when she clicks, the timer's now starting, and it's actually timing her doing the project, and she can pause if she wants to, if she's got to go off for a break or whatever. But at the moment, it's being worked on. So if we'll just leave that for a minute and assume that Jo's going to go and install. So you get the idea, and inside here, and again, as I said, this is free software to use. You don't pay for this. It's hosted on their site. When you set up an account, you'll create just a username or a company name, and then it will be that name.clockingit.com. It'll be like a subdomain type that you'll be given to show, and then you start setting up tasks, and as they're done, and you can see it says my in progress tasks, unassigned tasks. So you can create ones as you like here. We can set up a new task. We can also participate in forums, chat. There's all sorts of other things going on here. If you want to see how tasks are progressing, you can click the timeline, and you can see when it was created, when it was assigned, and then once it's done, you'll see more information as well from the timeline option tab here. In the reports tab, as you start to go through and create more tasks, you can pull off some great reports inside here, different types of reports, and you can decide when, this week, this month, today, last year, etc. You can pull off a lot of information, and you can filter it by the user, and you can then see the tasks they've completed and how long it takes them to complete those tasks. The nice thing as well about Clocking It is if you've got any issues with using the software, just click on the forums and you can start a topic for general and here support, and then people do come back to you. So it's a well-used site where people are also helping other people with using the software. So you've got the support there if you need it. So if we come back in here now and assume that Jo's now finished, so they might send a question or comment back to you, and they finish doing the work. They're going to leave it open, stop working on the project. If within as admin we come to the overview, we can see recent activities that today we got a message saying that the completed install of blog, please let me know. We can see as well that it took 3 minutes for it to be completed. We can either carry on working on it ourselves if we then add work to it. If If we want to time ourselves, we can go into the detail and reply. Or if we're happy, we can check it to say the task has now been completed. And then that way, status in progress, the project is now closed. We know it's been marked off. We could even just check in once a day and mark them as done. Or we could even give that person rights to mark them off if we wanted to by giving them admin rights. The other thing as well is you can go into a schedule. So you can see here, this project was done and completed. It shows today. And if we're adding a new task for a future date, so let's say we want to put it in the future. So let's say as well we're going to have we're having a task done here. We're going to assign it to Joe. Summary, setup plugins for all 20 blogs installed so far. So we can just put that in as we like. We can attach files if we want to. We can send notification emails. We can choose a priority if we want to. We can say it's a normal priority, severity, major, time estimate. We can say 3 hours, for example. Due date, we want it by tomorrow. And then once we're happy, we can create the task. And you can see here we've set up and it's got the due date of when it's due by. So the schedule, we can see what, and also if we want to, we go to the overview. We can see tasks in the newest task window, but the schedule shows us future dates of when it's due by. So we're setting tasks. So what we could do on a Sunday, we could set the task for every day of the coming week if we wanted to. And then as Joe does these, she'll come in, she'll get assigned, and then she'll go ahead and mark them off. Joe then gets an email to tell her that there's a project, another task has been set, when it's due by, and when she opens the link, so she could go into her email account, she clicks it, it takes her directly to the project, so now she can again start working on it and go as before. And then once she's done it and posts us a comment, everything will be saved and we know that she's finished the task the same way. So this is a great piece of software. It's called Clocking It, and you can get yourself a copy at clockingit.com. But that will help you keep tabs on your VA to see projects you've assigned, ones they've completed, and anything you've assigned for future dates. Thanks for watching the video.